week's class, we're going to focus on immunity and opening up through our chest and our heart. So really working on deep breathing, feeling our breath not just in our chest, not just in our throat, but also in the sides of our body and even in the back of our body. So really getting that 360-degree breath, getting our energy moving, hopefully feeling a little more energetic at the end of practice, getting our lymph moving, deep breaths, all this stuff, really good for our immune system. So to start, you can find a comfortable seat. I like to sit on my heels, but you might like a cross-legged position. You might even like to sit with your legs out in front of you, anything that might be comfortable for you. And we're going to take a couple of breaths and really bring our attention to our rib cage here. So you can even bring your hands to your rib cage for a second, and as you take a breath in, really work on expanding the lower ribs, the ribs that kind of end right here, the floating ribs, right? And really expand them out with your inhale. Almost feel the ribs opening up, and then exhale, softening back in. Okay, breathing in, you let your belly release. Exhale, soften back in. And you can bring your hands down to your lap and just take a couple of more breaths like this. If you'd like to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. Take an inhale. Exhale. Deep, full breath in. Use your mind's eye to see your ribs expanding out. And softening back in as you exhale. Allowing your jaw to relax. Maybe allow your shoulders to move a little bit. Forward and back, down your back. Breath in. Full, steady breath out. Inhale, let your belly relax and expand out with your ribs. Exhale, everything softens back in. Maybe at the very end you pull your belly up and in. Inhale. Breath out. Just do one more. Big inhale. Full, steady breath out. Good. And then roll your shoulders up to your ears with an inhale. Exhale them down your back. And we're going to move into tabletop position. So, starting first with some cat-cows, and then we're going to move a little more into our breath and the different parts of our chest. So let's start cat-cows. Knees are about hip width apart, fingers spread wide. As you inhale, drop your belly, flip your bum, roll your shoulders back, roll open. Exhale, round, bring your chin into your chest. I'm going to turn so you can see from the side. But inhale, you roll forward. Drop your belly, flip your tailbone. Exhale, you press into your mat, roll your shoulders, roll your spine towards the ceiling. Inhale, drop your belly, open up, maybe feel your breath in your chest. Exhale, round, tuck your chin into your chest, tuck your tailbone in. We're going to do one more like that. Inhale, roll open. And exhale, round. Good. Return to your neutral spine. And we're going to do a little bit of work with a modified side plank, okay? So you're going to keep your left knee on the mat, and you're going to extend your right leg, and you're going to keep your toes on the mat, okay? Then you're going to roll to the inner edge of your right foot. You're going to kick your left foot out to the side. You're going to stay on your left hand, and we want our left shoulder over our left wrist, so we don't want it to look like this, right? So we want to stack everything, have a little tiny bend in your left elbow. And then as you inhale, you're going to take your right arm straight up to the sky, okay? So you're on the inner edge of your right foot, and we're working to keep the back of our head in line with our shoulders and with our hips and with our right heel, okay? Reaching up through your right hand and your right fingers. Take a breath in. Exhale, maybe you look up towards your fingertips. Maybe you feel your breath in your chest. Now you can stay here, or for a little bit more, you can go ahead and lift your right leg up, keeping your right toes curled towards your face. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now you can stay here. You can still have your right leg on the mat, or for more, you can bend your right knee. You can reach back, keeping your thumb to the sky, and grab a hold of your right foot. Flex your toes, and the more you kind of lift your leg, you're going to open up a little bit more through your right shoulder. Now this is more advanced. It's a little more challenging on your balance. So remember, you could be here, or for even a little less, right here. Any of those are just fine. If you're staying here, stay here. Couple more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do one more. Breathe in. Noticing your breath in your chest as your chest opens up. And exhale. If you're holding onto your foot, go ahead, release your foot back down to the mat, your right arm to the sky. Press down through the sole of your right foot, so the whole foot's on the mat. And as we inhale, we're going to come up onto our left knee. So inhale, start to come up, take your left arm all the way up. And exhale, start to reach towards the right. Okay? I'm going to move over just a little bit so you can see. Inhale, reach up, lengthen, open through your left rib cage. Exhale, keep reaching towards the right. Now, if you notice your left shoulder has dipped down, pull your belly in slightly, keep it opening up. Another inhale, feel your breath through your left rib cage. Exhale and reach. Good. One more breath. And exhale. Inhale, come back up to center. And as you exhale, I'm going to turn so you can see, as you exhale, you're going to bring your left hand down in front of your left knee. Okay? So your right foot is extended. I've turned so you can see. You might be reaching towards the side edge of your mat. As you inhale, reach your right arm up to the sky. Your right foot is flat. And you're just getting a gentle twist here. So you might feel right in the back of your shoulder blades here, squeezing together. Take an inhale. Exhale, maybe you open up a little bit more. Maybe you kind of squeeze your back shoulder blades together. One more breath. And exhale. Take a breath in here. Exhale, bring your hand back down, bring your knee back down, and you're back in your table position. Okay? And I'm going to do that again. And this way you'll see me from the front. So this time we're going to go ahead and extend your left toes back. And I'm going to turn, and your left foot, I'm going to move up here so you can see, you're going to come to the inner edge of your left foot. Okay? So your left foot is down on the mat. Now your right wrist is directly under your right shoulder. And you're going to take your left arm up to the sky. Okay? So reaching up, we stack our left wrist over our left shoulder, over our right shoulder, over our right wrist. Now you can stay here. If you want, you can always start to lift your left leg up as well. Keep your toes curling towards your face. Breath in, maybe even look up at your left fingertips. Breath out. Now remember, your left foot can be on the ground. That's step one. This is step two. Step three would be to bend your left knee. Reach back. Keep your thumb facing up so we're not turning our arm around. Keeping the thumb up, you can grab a hold of your left toes, kind of coming into a little bit of a back bend, opening up through your left shoulder. So remember, you can be here, you can stay here the whole time, here for a little bit more, here for most. Two more. Breathe in. Noticing your breath right in your chest, your front of your heart. One more. And exhale. Okay, release your foot if you have it, or let your foot come down, or if your foot's here, just stay here. And we're going to come up onto our right knee. So I need to turn my right toes maybe a little bit behind me. As I inhale, I'm going to take my right arm up to the sky. Exhale and reach. So again, I'm not dipping down to reach further, keeping my chest open, and I'm noticing the lengthening, the opening I feel through my right rib cage. Not a lot of weight in my left hand. Couple more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Sole of your left foot is on the mat. One more breath. and exhale. Okay, inhale, come up. Exhale, your right hand's gonna come right in front of your right knee, okay? Lengthen your spine, inhale. Take your left arm out to a T, and then exhale, come up into your twist. Okay, a couple of breaths here. Noticing your breath in your back, in between your shoulder blades. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more full breath in. Opening up as you exhale. And take a breath in. Exhale your hand down, your foot down, back onto the mat. And then coming back to the front of your mat as we started in table pose. Okay. One more thing before we get moving into our sun salutations. And remember, we're going to have lots of modifications. Actually, I'm going to go through this real quick, just for everybody. So we'll do one more pose before we get into our sun salutations, but just a reminder for sun salutations, right? So there's a push-up sequence. Number one, you can always skip it. I will remind you of that. Okay, next option is you might want to come down, drop your knees and lift your toes. This is our modified push-up, okay? So I'm not dipping my bum down and my hips down. I feel a lot in my low back. What I'm doing instead is pulling my rib cage towards my hips, pulling it inward, pressing into my hands, keeping a little tiny bend in my elbows. This is a modified push-up, okay? And when we lower, as we exhale, we just lower all the way down, trying to get your chest and your belly to land at the same time. Then we drop our toes, slide the hands back, inhale for our back bend for our cobra. Now that's what I will be doing. Now some of you might be doing a full plank where you stay on your toes. Now again, we're not dropping our hips down, we're not lifting our hips up. We're trying to keep a line from our shoulders diagonally down to our hips, down to our heels. And some of you, I'm hyperextending in my elbows, so I know I need to keep a little bend. Some of you might choose from here to lower all the way down or halfway down. If you lower halfway, flip your toes and come up to your upward facing dog where your thighs are off the mat. Now, I'm going to cue the modification. If you know you can move through a more advanced, it's called a chaturanga or a push-up series, you can do that. If you want to skip them all together, you can do that as well. I encourage you, especially if you're new to practice, drop your knees. That's how you build the strength to move forward, okay? But one thing before we move on. So, before we come up to a downward facing dog, for a lot of us, because our hamstrings are tight, we tend to roll forward and feel a lot of weight in our shoulders in a downward facing dog, and we don't really get the shoulder opening and the chest opening. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep our hips on top of our knees. So you may need to take your knees back a little bit on your mat. Hips stay on top of your knees, and then you're just gonna walk your fingers forward, 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 forward. Now, some of us, our head's going to be lifted. Some of us might want to bring our head down to a block. And some of us, our forehead is going to come down to the mat. Now, you're keeping your elbows strong, your forearms lifted, and you're really getting that lengthening through your spine and the opening through your shoulders. Okay? Take a breath in here. Breath out. One more inhale. And exhale. Okay. Now, we're going to come to a downward facing dog. So start to walk your hands in a little bit. Okay. Curl your toes behind you. When you're ready, take a breath in. Exhale, lift your hips up and back to a down dog. Now, as I stated earlier, some of us, our heels are really lifted and we kind of look like this in a down dog, and that's okay. What we're really looking for is that same length in the spine. So maybe try to bend your knees, press your chest back, and get that lengthening. If your hamstrings are a little more open, you might be able to press your heels closer to the mat or all the way onto the mat. Okay? A little bit of work here, so breathe in, rise to your toes. Exhale, sink your right heel down. Put a big bend in your left knee. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bend your right knee, sink your left heel down. Inhale, lift up. Sink your left heel, bend your right knee. Inhale, lift up. Sink your right heel, bend your left knee. Good. Pedal those out. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower the opposite side. Good. Inhale, lift. Sink both heels. Press your chest back. Good. We're going to move through our sun salutation. So as we inhale, we rise to our toes. Bend your knees deeply. Look forward. Exhale, walk or step to the front of your mat. Okay? Halfway lift. Press off your shins right under your knees. Straighten your arms. Lengthen your spine. Exhale. You don't have to move. I'm just moving so you can see. Bend your knees. Drop your head and chest. Do one more like that. Halfway lift. Press off your shins. Try to get a flat back. Exhale. Bend your knees. Fold. Press through your feet. Inhale. Stand up. Reach up. As we exhale, let's bring our hands to our heart for a second here, and we're going to do some side bending in our sun salutations, okay? So first things first, take your feet about hip width apart here, and we're going to work on pulling your belly, not just sucking it in, but pulling it in and then lifting it up, okay? So you might notice as you pull it in, lift it up, you get a little taller, your shoulders roll back a little bit. Engaging your belly here a little bit to support your low back as we do our side bends, okay? So not 100%, you still want to be able to breathe, maybe just about 10%. Okay, so inhale, let's sweep our arms all the way up. As we exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, side bend to the left. Really press into your right foot. Notice the opening through the right side of your body. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, split your palms, soften your knees, keep a flat back, and fold forward. Halfway lift again, lengthen with your breath in. Exhale, plant your hands, step back to a plank. We're just going to hold for a breath or two. Okay, so you can do full plank, but I encourage you maybe drop your knees, lift your toes. Okay, if you hyperextend in your elbows, you can see how bad mine are. You can bend your knees a little, or bend your elbows a little bit so you're not hyperextending. Okay. Take a breath in, breath out, look up towards the front of your mat, don't let your head drop. One more inhale, exhale, we're going to lower all the way to our belly. Okay, drop your toes, press down through the tops of your feet, take your hands back to the small of your waist, elbows point towards the back of your mat, towards your heels. Actively press into your legs. Inhale, we're going to lift up for a cobra, broadening through your collarbone, rolling your shoulders back. Exhale through your knees, curl your toes, lift your hips up and back for your downward facing dog. Stay for a breath in. Stay as you breathe out. And then inhale, rise to your toes, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or step, couple steps, big step to the front of your mat. Halfway lift, press off your shins, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold. All the way up, inhale. Remember, pull your belly up and in gently. Exhale, side bend to the right. If it hurts to have your arms or isn't comfortable with your arms over your shoulders, hands can be at your heart. Side bend to the right. Inhale, come back up. Side bend to your left. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, you can split the palms, or maybe, if you want, hands through heart center as you fold down. Halfway lift, breathe in. Exhale, step back to your plank. Take a full breath in. Full breath out. One more inhale. Exhale, lower. Maybe drop your knees. Lift your toes, lean forward. All the way down to your belly. Drop your toes. Slide your hands back. Press into your feet. Inhale, lift up. No weight in the low back, no pain in the low back. Exhale to your knees. Curl your toes. Downward facing dog. If you feel any twinging in your low back, you're coming up too much. You want to keep your elbows bent. Last time through sun salutation A, breathe in, rise to your toes, bend your knees. Find your way to the front of the mat as you exhale. One step, couple of steps. Halfway lift, breathe in. Fold, exhale. Arms sweep up, breathe in. Remember, your hands can come to your heart. Exhale, side bend to the right. Press into your left foot. Notice the length through your left ribs. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, side bend to your left. Notice your right. Inhale, come up. Exhale, split your palms, soften your knees, fold all the way down. Halfway lift, breathe in. Step back to plank, exhale. Stay for an inhale, maybe you drop your knees, lift your toes. Exhale, lower all the way down, drop your toes, slide your hands back, inhale up for cobra. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Big breath in. Big exhale out. Okay, let's inhale, let's rise to your toes, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or step to the front of your mat. Halfway lift to breathe in. Exhale, fold. Stand up, breathe in. Exhale, hands to your heart. Good. We're going to take one big step back. You're going to keep your right foot forward. We're going to step our left foot back. We're going to come into a warrior two here, okay? So as you step back, I'm going to turn to the side so you can see your right toes are going to face directly towards what is the front of your mat. And your left toes are going to be facing towards the side wall, okay? So we want our right knee over our ankle, never in front of it. If it's in front of it, then you need a longer stance, okay? You're going to feel like you're pulling your heels in towards one another. Pull your belly up and in gently. Inhale, we're going to take our arms out to a T. Exhale, you can sink into your warrior two a little more. Lift your left kneecap. Notice the lengthening and the strength you feel in your back leg, not just only in your front, okay? So let's flip our palms up. Maybe you notice a little more opening in your chest here. We're going to do a little bit of shoulder work. So as we inhale, we're going to rotate our shoulders forward and up. Exhale, back and down. Little circles. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back and down. One more, up. Back and down. Good. This time we're going to inhale, back and down, and then forward and up. A couple of times, just move with your breath. Back and down. One more time. And good. Keep your front palm flipped up. Inhale, take your right arm up to the sky. Left arm just drops down. Exhale, if you'd like to sink deeper into your squat, that's fine. And if you need to stay out of it a little bit, that's okay too. Reaching up through your right arm, right fingertips. Exhale, again, noticing maybe the length you feel in your right rib cage. Maybe you look up at your right hand. Maybe you look down at your left foot. Whatever feels better on your neck. One more breath. And exhale. Okay. Inhale, we're going to straighten our right leg. Exhale, we're going to reach forward. We're going to come into triangle pose, okay? So you reach and you hinge, 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 and then your right hand can come down either to a block or onto your leg lightly, and your left arm comes up towards the sky. Now, again, we're trying to think about one long line from the back of the head down through your shoulders, down through your bum, down through your heel, okay? So we're not looking to have our chest forward and our bum back just so we can get our arm down on the ground and then we're like this, right? We're looking to maybe have our right hand a little higher so we're a little bit longer and getting the same lengthening through our side body, opening up through our chest, okay? So this is step one. If you want to stay here, stay here. Step two would be you let your left hand come back behind you to your right back pocket. Some of us might even reach our left fingertips onto our right thigh. And again, we get that rotating through your left shoulder. Some of us might want a little bit more. And if so, you're going to interlace your fingers behind you. Roll your shoulders back and reach your knuckles towards your left heel. Okay? So you still get the side bend, but you get your shoulders opening as well. Two more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Breathe out. If you're in this bind, you're gonna bring your right hand back down, your left arm back up. Everybody's gonna bend through your right knee. We're gonna cartwheel back up to your reverse warrior. Exhale, sink. Okay, inhale, take your left arm up to meet your right. You're gonna straighten your legs and you're gonna turn all 10 toes towards the side of your mat. Exhale, you're gonna let your hands come down behind you, interlace your fingers, reach your knuckles down, roll your shoulders back, maybe look up. Exhale, we're gonna take a wide leg fold. Okay, so maybe you have a little bend in your knees, maybe your toes turn in a little bit and your heels out. You can keep this bind and roll your shoulders back. If this is a little more than you'd like, you can always bring your hands down to your bum and then your hands down to the mat or to a block. You can even hold on to your feet here. Whatever feels right for you. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more. Breath out. Inhale, if you have the bind, your hands to your bum. Exhale, let them come down to the mat. Take a halfway lift, breathe in, straighten your arms, lengthen your spine. Exhale, find your way to the front of the mat into a lunge. So your right toes turn forward again. And then you exhale, sink into your lunge. Plant your hands. Inhale, you're gonna step back to a plank. And then either exhale into a downward facing dog, or if you want to move through a push-up, you can drop your knees, lift your toes, lean forward, lower to your belly. Drop your toes, slide your hands back, inhale up for cobra, and then exhale back to down dog. So remember, if you step back to a down dog, you're just gonna meet us there and wait. If you didn't, and you move through the push-ups, and just go through the push-ups. Breathe in, rise to your toes, bend your knees, walk or step to the front of your mat as you exhale. Halfway lift, breathe in, exhale, fold, arms sweep up, breathe in, hands to your heart, exhale. And this time we're going to step back with our right foot, so our left foot is forward, and take a big step, and I'm going to turn this way this time. Your left toes are going to point to the front of the mat, and your right toes are going to point to the side of your mat, okay? So you want your right leg to be just as strong as your left. The back is just as strong as the front. Maybe notice pressing into the right outer edge of your right foot, okay? Inhale, we're going to take our arms out to a T. Exhale, sink into your warrior 2, okay? So maybe you flip your palms up again. Maybe you roll your shoulders back and down. Maybe you notice your shoulder blades squeezing together behind you. Keep an eye on your left knee. If it caves in, we're trying to externally rotate and open a little bit here. So keep your knee kind of opening up to the outer toes of your left foot. 2 more. Breathe in. Exhale. Squeezing your shoulder blades together. If this is a lot on your shoulders here, maybe your hands are at your heart. 1 more breath. And exhale. We're going to come into our reverse warrior. So make sure your left palm is flipped. Inhale, take your left arm high. Right arm just kind of hangs softly on your right outer leg. Maybe you look up. Maybe you look down, whatever's more comfortable. But again, noticing the length all the way through your left rib cage here. Breathe in. Breathe out. Remember that 360-degree breath. Inhale. Breathe out. Last one, reach up. Relax your face, your jaw, exhale. Okay, we're going to straighten our left leg. Inhale. Exhale, we're going to reach forward. Hinge, hinge, hinge. When you cannot reach any further, you can let your left hand come down, maybe just under your knee, okay? Even instead of pressing and putting all your weight on your leg, just lightly press the back of your left hand into your left shin, right arm up to the sky. That's step 1. You can stay here the whole time in triangle. Or you can come into a half bind and bring your right hand to your left bum, maybe your right fingertips even creep onto your left thigh, and you rotate and open your right shoulder. One more option, and this is the more advanced, so don't feel like you have to do this, it's just an option, is that you interlace your hands. Maybe you switch and maybe your non-dominant pinky is on the outer edge. You reach your knuckles back, roll your shoulders back. This is some core work, so keep your low ribs, your floating ribs pulled into your belly. Breathe in, breathe out. Inhale, exhale. One more breath, and exhale. If you're in the spine, let your left hand come down, your right arm come up, bend your knee a little bit. Inhale, we're gonna come all the way up. Exhale again, turn all 10 toes towards the side of your mat. We're gonna do the same thing we just did. So maybe you sweep your arms up, breathe in. Exhale, you can interlace, or you can always grab opposite elbows and come to your fold. Remember, shoulders roll back and drop down. If you'd rather have your hands down on the mat, that's perfectly fine. Maybe your hands on a block, maybe your hands on your ankles, whatever feels better for you, or you can always keep your bind here. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more. Breath out. If you're in the bind, inhale your hands to your bum and then down to the mat. Halfway lift, breathe in. Exhale, find your way to the front of your mat. So turn your left toes towards the front of the mat and come into your lunge. Okay, inhale, step your left foot back to your plank. Exhale, you can send your hips back to a down dog and stay. Or if you want to move through your push-up, you can drop your knees, lift your toes, lean forward, lower to your belly. Drop your toes, slide your hands back, inhale up for cobra. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Good, big breath in. Big exhale. Breathe in, rise to your toes, bend your knees. Exhale, walker step to the front of your mat. Halfway lift, breathe in. Fold, exhale. Stand up, inhale. Bring your hands to your heart. Okay. I'm going to do a little work with a chest opener here. So a lot of us spend a lot of time, unfortunately, having to sit at a computer or maybe some new office at your house where we're like this a lot. And we want to work on opening up through our chest. So we're going to do some goalpost arm work, okay, or cactus arms. So one of the things we're looking for here is we really want to get the engagement right back here, right in between our shoulder blades. So for a lot of us, it's going to look like this, where your wrist is in front of your elbow. What we're looking to get to, as best as we can without forcing it, is your elbow and your shoulder in line. Okay, so not down here, but right about here. And then your wrist, not with your hand going back like that, but your fingers and your wrist in line with your elbow. So something like this. And yours may look a little bit like this or a little bit like this, but you're working on getting that opening through both sides. Now, we can stand here in mountain and do the arm work that we're going to do. If you want a little more, you can sink down into chair pose. So remember, your weight is in your heels, not in your toes. So your heels are heavy, your toes are light, your bum is sinking down, okay? That's a little more, or you can do this standing. We're really working on the shoulders and the chest here, so the legs is just an added option if you want a little bit more, okay? And I'm just gonna do this for mountain pose. So goalpost arms as best as we can, maybe even kind of look, use your peripheral vision to get your wrist and your elbow as much in line as you can. Really feel that engagement through the back of your shoulders. Inhale, we're going to take our arms up. Exhale down. If you want to sink into chair, you can. Inhale, stand. Exhale, down. Up. Maybe you stay standing or maybe you sink into chair. 2 more, up. Exhale, sink. Squeeze your elbows back behind you. 1 more, up. Exhale your arms, maybe also into chair. Good, take a breath in. And exhale. Inhale, stand up. Hands to your heart. Good job. So we're going to work on a little bit of balancing in dancer pose. So dancer's pose can be pretty challenging. And one of the things I want to stress is that we have multiple steps where we can stop. Okay? So we're working on a little bit of chest opening. We're working on balance. You do not have to be at the full pose. Okay, you can stop anywhere along the way, and I'll tell you as we move through each step, you can stay here, and please do that. You're going to get much more out of a pose, potentially, if you can be somewhat comfortable in the pose, able to breathe, able to concentrate, rather than completely just falling out of a pose and getting frustrated. Okay, so we want that little bit of calmness, a little bit of breath. You can always build up higher later. You don't have to get to it first, especially if this is the first or second time you're trying something like this, okay? So mountain pose, feet about hip width apart, shoulders roll back and down, your belly pulls up and in. It's important to use your Uddiyana Bandha in yoga, but it's your belly in and up, okay, to support your core. We're going to shift our weight to your right foot. Okay, step one is you just come to the toes of your left foot, okay? And just work on balancing on one leg. So maybe you just have your heel lifted, maybe you're just balancing on your big toe, but really work on maintaining a balance. So you're keeping your belly engaged, you're keeping your shoulders back, you're looking at one spot. Step two is you start to bring your left heel towards your bum, okay? Keep your left toes curled towards your knee, that'll help you. Step three is where you get the shoulder opener. So this is the important part. You're going to turn your palm out to the left so the inner part of your elbow is out. So again, we're not rotating our arm behind inward. We're keeping the shoulder open. We're just turning our palm out. And then you reach down and grab the inner edge or the inner ankle of your left foot and try to bring your knees back together. So even standing here, we have balancing, we have our belly pulled in, and now we have this left shoulder opening as well, okay? And you're holding on to your foot. This is plenty of challenge here, and maybe where you stay. Maybe you stay here, just stay with your foot up, and maybe you're just opening your shoulder this way. Or maybe you're here with your toes on the mat. Any of these are fine, okay? If you're holding on to the foot and you feel okay, you can then take your right arm up to the sky, okay? If you feel really good here, and I'm going to turn to the side so you can see, what we're going to do is we lean forward. Is you can lean forward, but instead of just leaning, you're going to lift, keep your left toes curled, your ankles flexed, and you're going to start to lift your heel up. The left heel lifts up, and that's what kind of causes you to lean forward. So it's not an act of leaning forward so much, it's more that you're lifting this back foot up towards the ceiling. Now this is the full pose. As you can see, I fell out of it. It's a little bit challenging, okay? You want to find one spot to stare at. I'm getting an opening through my left shoulder. But again, you could be here, you could be here, you could be here, you could be here, okay? One more breath wherever you are. And exhale. And then you're going to come out of the pose with as much calm and ability as you can and not fly out of it, okay? Again, returning to mountain pose. I'll turn towards the other side so you can see. But this time the weight, the balance is going to be in our left leg. And then we can maybe just start bending your right knee and just coming onto the toes of your right foot. Step one, stay here. Remember, belly's in, shoulders are back. Step two is you start to bring your right heel towards your bum. Stay here. Okay, I'm going to turn to the side so you can see. Step three is where you catch your ankle. So you're going to turn your palm out. The inner edge of your elbow, your right elbow is out. So our arm's not around like this. Palm is out, and you're going to reach down, grab the inner edge, keep this ankle flexed. That's pointed, this is flexed, okay? So now I'm getting the opening through my right shoulder. I'm going to bring my knees back together. You can stay like this. This is enough challenge right here. If you want to take your left arm up and stay at this step, you can. If you're going to go into the full pose, again, start to lift your foot first, and allow your foot lifting to be what kind of causes you to lean forward. And as you can see, if you take your mind or you take your eyes off of one spot, you're going to fall out of the pose. If I focus my eyes on one spot, it's called a drishti, then my balance is a lot better. But remember, you can be here, this is full pose. You could be here, one step back, another step back, another step down. Okay? So coming out of the pose the same way you got in it whenever you're ready, releasing down back into mountain pose. Take a breath in. And an exhale. And sweep our arms up, breathe in. Fold, exhale. Halfway lift. We're going to step our left foot back into a lunge. So your right foot stays forward, your left foot steps back. So I'm going to scooch my foot forward here, so I'm in the frame. And again, we want our knee over our ankle, not past it, okay? And what we're looking for is we're going to lengthen through the front of your left hip here. So again, if we're sitting all the time, this is a good lengthening for these muscles, your psoas, because we don't get this movement a lot, okay? So if your left knee is directly under your left hip, see if you can curl your toes and take your knee back a little bit so you get that lengthening, okay? Now you can stay here the whole time with your hands on the mat. The other option is if you want to take your arms up, you can do that as well. So you're going to press into the big toe mound of your right foot. Maybe take your right hand to your right knee, your left hand to your left hand to your right knee. Squeeze and lift through your left bum, and if you'd like, you can take your arms up to the sky. As you inhale, and then as you exhale, sink your hips forward and down, and you start to get this back bend. Okay? So when we do a back bend, the back bend we're really looking for is to come right here in between our shoulders. So if your arms are up, maybe work your biceps in line with your ears. Maybe you open your throat by looking up as well. Breath in. Breath out. 2 more, inhale. Exhale. Last one. Then exhale your arms down to the mat, okay? Curl your left toes, lift your left knee with your inhale, and then just sink down with your exhale. Breathe in, you're gonna step your left foot up to your right, come into a halfway lift. As you exhale, you're gonna step your right foot back into your lunge. Okay, and I'm gonna do this one this way so you can see. So your left foot is forward, your right foot is back, and you're gonna drop your right knee. Again, maybe you curl your right toes and really take your right knee back, okay? Press into the big toe mound of your left foot. Okay, you can stay here the whole time, rolling your shoulders back, letting your throat come forward, perfectly fine. Another step would be left hand to your left knee, right hand to your left knee. Maybe you stay here, and again, roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. Squeeze and lift your right bum up. And maybe if you want, you can inhale, take your arms up. Exhale, sink your hips forward and down. If you want to look up, you look up. Okay, reaching up through your fingertips. Again, working your biceps back. Feeling the back bend in between your shoulder blades. Feeling your breath not just in your chest, but we've lengthened through the side body and also lengthened through your back. Feeling your breath in between your shoulder blades. One more to stay. Full breath in. Full exhale. Take an inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands come down to the mat. Curl your back toes. Inhale, lift your back knee. Exhale, just sink your hips down. And then inhale, we're going to step back. Exhale, either down dog, or if you want to move through your push-up, you can drop your knees, lift your toes, lean forward, lower to your belly. Drop your toes, slide your hands back, inhale up for cobra. Exhale back, down dog. Take a breath in, and an exhale. And then breathe in, rise to your toes, bend your knees, and then find your way, maybe just taking one knee down, then the other knee down, to a seat. And I'm going to turn so you can see. And we're going to do a little bit of work here for our belly to warm up our belly a little bit and coming into boat pose, Navasana. Okay? So again, like everything, we're going to have multiple steps. You can stay at step 1, 2, 3, anywhere along the way. You don't have to go into the most advanced part of the pose, okay? Especially if you're compromising the shape of the pose and compromising what feels comfortable for you, okay? So your feet are flat on the mat, knees are together. Step 1 is you can kind of bring your fingers here just right under your knees, maybe even use your knees to squeeze your fingers a little bit. So what we're going to try to avoid most of all is a rounded back, okay? That's basically what we've been trying to avoid this whole entire class, right? So instead we want our shoulders back and your chest lifted. So we have a nice flat spine, long spine behind us, okay? And I'm balancing more on my sitting bones than I am on my sacrum. So my sacrum's right where my spine ends. My sitting bones are these little bony prominences that kind of push down into the mat. And so I'm going to try to balance on those. It's okay if you roll back onto your sacrum, but ultimately you're trying to lift your chest up so you stay on your sitting bones, okay? Step 1 is this. If you want a little bit more, maybe you start to balance on your toes, okay? Keep your chest lifted. If you start to roll in, bring your feet back down and lift your chest. This is plenty here, okay? So maybe you come onto your toes. If you want a little bit more, maybe you lift one heel up, maybe you stay here. Maybe you lift 2 heels up. Keep your knees squeezing together. Ultimate pose, you can take your arms out either to a T or in front of you, but again, shoulders back. If you want to straighten your legs, you can. That's really hard. You can even see my legs shaking a little bit there. Squeeze your knees together and in. Lift your chest. Keep your spine nice and long. Breath in. Breath out. Chest lifting, another inhale. Exhale. One more, big breath in. And then exhale, your feet flat, your hands down behind you, okay? So you're gonna turn your fingers out to the sides. And we're gonna come into a reverse table pose. So table pose is usually when we're on our hands and knees. This time we want our feet on the mat, our hands down here. Press into your feet, inhale, we're gonna lift our hips up. Trying to get your hips and your knees in line. It's okay if your hips are a little lower, but ultimately this is what we're looking for. Now, if this is okay, you stay here. If you want a throat opener, if it's okay on your neck, you can drop your head back behind you and open up through your throat. Press into your feet, lift your hips, inhale. Exhale. One more. As you exhale, let your bum come down to the mat, bring your chin into your chest. Okay, we're going to set up for one more boat or Navasana. So I'm going to do it this way so you can see from this angle. So knees are together. Maybe bring your hands under your knees, shoulders back, chest lifting. Remember, keeping a long spine. If you want more, maybe you come to your toes. If you want more, maybe you lift your feet up, toes curl towards your face. Again, chest lifts. If you want more, your arms can come out to a T. If you want to straighten your legs, you can. Knees hug in. Breathe in. Breathe out. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Shoulders are back. Squeeze your shoulders onto your back. One more breath. Exhale, come down. We're going to do that reverse table again, or this time possibly a reverse plank. So your arms are back behind. You can turn your fingers out. Press into your feet. Inhale, lift up for reverse table. If you want reverse plank, you can bring your heel, straighten your left leg, straighten your right leg, lift your hips up. And I'll turn to the side so you can see that. Reverse plank. You can let your head fall back. Or you can be in reverse table again, where your feet are flat and your knees are bent. One more breath wherever you are. Let your chest lift, your hips lift. Exhale, slowly come down. Exhale. Good. And last little bit before we start to finish up is we're going to do some belly back bends. So I am going to show you from the side so you can see. We're going to do 3 rounds of them. I'm going to demonstrate some pretty mild belly back bends, but if you're more advanced in your practice or you've been doing yoga for a while and you know full bow pose, your shoulders might be open enough for that. I'm not going to demonstrate that. That's a little more intense. But we're going to do some belly back bends. If you know something a little bit more that you want to do and you feel comfortable doing that, and that's fine. Otherwise, we're going to come to a prone position, so you're going to come onto your belly. Okay, so first thing, before we do anything else, we're going to come to Sphinx pose. So you're going to bring your hips down onto your mat. And you can't see my feet here, but the tops of my feet are flat on the mat, and I'm spreading my toes and pressing my toes into the mat, okay? I want my elbows here directly under my shoulders. Fingers are spread wide, wrists are flat, and my legs are active. So you can imagine, even if you have a block, you can squeeze a block or imagine you're squeezing a block. So your legs are strong and active. As you inhale, you're going to press into your forearms and just lift your chest. So it's a micro movement. You feel like you're pulling the mat back towards your feet and lifting your chest here. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more inhale. And exhale. That's back bend number 1. We're going to do 2 more. So if this felt good or maybe even intense for you, that's fine. You can do this again for the second round. If not, you can start to bring one arm back behind you, the other arm back behind you. You can bring your ear to the mat. So again, my legs are active. The tops of my feet are pressing onto the mat. I'm going to have my palms face down. For a little more, you can bring your palms up. So step 1 is you press down on the tops of the feet. Imagine you're squeezing a block, and you inhale, you lift your shoulders, lift your chest, and looking towards the front of your mat. So we're not looking up and straining our neck. We're just looking towards the front of the mat. If this feels okay and you'd like to lift your hands, you can lift your hands and reach them back. If it feels okay to lift your legs, you can lift your legs as well. If you feel any pain or too much in your low back, go down a step, drop your hands, maybe drop your feet, okay? Or you can have your hands and feet lifted. Spread your toes, roll your shoulders back again, squeeze your shoulders back behind you. Breathe in, breathe out. One more, inhale. And then as you exhale, you can bring the opposite ear down to the mat. We're going to do 1 more. So you could do the first one that we did, Sphinx. You could do what we just did. You can take your arms forward in front of you with your thumbs up in Superman pose. Or we've done a good bit of shoulder opening. If you know you want to do full bow pose, you can. Again, I'm not going to demonstrate that. Or you can just interlace your fingers here like we did earlier. Roll your shoulders back. Again, imagine you're pressing. Well, press your feet, tops of the feet into the mat. Imagine you're squeezing a block. And as you inhale, start to lift up. Looking towards the front of the mat. If you want to lift your legs as well, you can. Keeping your hip bones and your pelvic bone pressing into the mat. That doesn't lift. Inhale. Exhale. Really using your diaphragm here. As you breathe in, press your belly, your ribs into the mat to lift. Exhale. One more. And then exhale everything down. Bend your knees, windshield wipe your legs side to side. Good. And then you're just going to flip yourself over, just like a pancake, onto your back. And we've done our back bending, so we're not going to do a bridge pose. If you'd like a little bit of work for your hips, we can just do a thread the needle. So you're going to cross your right heel over your left knee, and you're going to allow your right knee to soften away from your face. It's okay if your knee's still curling in towards your face, but you're doing your best to let it fall away. This may be enough for you. You may feel this right here in your right hip. If you want a little bit more, you can start to bring your left knee in towards your face. And if you want to reach your right hand in between your thighs, your left hand around the outer left thigh, interlace your fingers, press your left foot away from you as you kind of pull the knee in. Let your right knee fall away from your face. And just softly but deeply breathing in and out here. Again, maybe you notice this in your hips, maybe even sway your hips a little bit side to side. If you're anywhere near a wall, you can do this with your left foot somewhere on the wall, either higher up, middle of the way, a little bit lower down. Again, allowing your jaw to soften, your face to soften, keeping your breath steady, deep, but also soft. One more here on this side. And then you're going to let go of your left knee if you're holding on to it, and you're just going to switch sides. So you let your right foot come down, cross your left ankle over your right knee, keep your left toes curling towards your left knee. Allow your left knee to soften away from your face. And as you inhale, you're going to go ahead and lift your right leg up if you'd like more. You can take your left hand in between your thighs, your right hand around the back of your right thigh. Maybe you can interlace your hands here. Maybe you have a wall somewhere. You can put your right foot up against the wall. And just breathing here. This time maybe feeling the sensation, maybe a little bit of discomfort in your left hip. So remember, every physical movement, every pose, we want to be able to maintain our breath. So we're not looking to be unable to breathe in a pose, holding our breath in a pose, pushing and straining so much in a pose that we can't breathe and that we're totally uncomfortable. We want a level of comfort and stability and ease in a pose. And then we can slowly and gently maybe make it a little bit deeper, but we have to maintain our breath. That's how we stay safe in these yoga poses. That's how we keep our nervous system regulated in a pose. That's how we end up feeling calmer after our practice, maybe energized, but also grounded. That's what's different than aerobics. That's what makes this a little bit of a much different practice. And then when you're ready, you can let your right foot come down, unwind your left foot, maybe do some windshield wipers this way. So we didn't do any twisting. Maybe you want to do a spinal twist, or maybe you feel comfortable just with wide knees, letting your hips sway a little bit side to side. If there's any other poses you feel like you might need, you might want to take them, you can always pause this. But we're going to move into Shavasana right after we grab our knees, hug our knees in. Again, you can roll a little bit side to side. And then when you're ready, extending one leg, extending the other leg, some space in between your legs, space in between your arms and your body, your palms face up. Maybe lift your chest, allow your shoulders to roll away from your ears, closing your eyes if you'd like. If you decide to keep your eyes open, it's fine. Maybe just look past the tip of your nose or find a spot on the ceiling to focus on. And taking the next couple of moments just to allow your physical body to really settle into your mat, become heavy, and your breath just softens. starting to deepen your breath. Inviting some movement to your fingers and toes, maybe rolling your head side to side. And then rolling onto your right side, maybe bringing your right arm to support your head. And then finding your way nice and slowly, maybe using your left arm, your left hand, to come up to a seat. Again, maybe your legs are crossed, maybe you're sitting on your shins, maybe you bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Sensing your breath both in your belly and in your heart. Checking in with your physical body, your emotions, your energy, noticing whatever might feel different. And then bringing your hands together at your heart. Take a full breath in. And as we exhale, we bow forward and say, Namaste. Thank you.